So let's open our hearts and our minds to really learn more from our older brother, Ali. So please welcome up Ali.
Wow. Thank you for that roaring round of applause. For real special now. Hey everyone. My name is Alistair Goff. I'm 22 years old, and I'm pretty sure I know pretty much everybody in this room, bar a couple faces. So if you don't know me, what's up? Nice to meet you. And I was asked by Inju to just give a short testimony about my life. When I saw the message from her, I initially was like, well, you want me? I am a special guy, but I was, very grateful for the request. And I think I've formulated a bit of a story that could be helpful for you guys in your lives of faith. Thank you very much. And the topic of my testimony is growing from hardships. Now, I just want to go from the very beginning and explain a bit more of, who I am. So, I'm a second gen, like most people in this room, bar a couple of third generation that I know are in here. I'm a blessed child, and I'm born of Russell and Akiko Goff, an English man and a Japanese woman. There she is in the back. Growing up, my parents, I think, did a very good job of keeping me connected to the movement. I was very much connected always. We did 100K, we went to church on Sundays. We had an active life of faith. And my father always kind of expressed this idea to me that God was sad. God was in pain because of what was happening in the world and what his sons and daughters were doing with their lives. And by being raised with that concept, with that idea, I came to think, man, that makes me sad. If that's the case, I want to do everything I can to make that not the case. I want to make God happy. And that's where my relationship to God started. That's where my understanding of God, who he is, and what I can do in my life really began. So that's what fueled me. That's what got me through my early childhood years. And from this point onwards, now I'm like 12 years old at this point. And from this point onwards, I start to have a series of events that were quite difficult, quite hard objectively. And the first one was with my older brother. So I have an older brother. I have 2 older siblings, and my older brother was blessed at this time. He received the blessing. He's blessed happily now for the past, I think, over 10 years. He's got 2 children. But not very long after receiving his blessing, he and his wife decided to join a sub-splinter of our movement, Sanctuary Church, if you guys know what that is. And at the time, this was, a massive jab in our family. It really was a cataclysmic sort of divide in our relationship. At that time, he was my closest role model. He was the man who I wanted to be. And then out of nowhere, he had moved country, and every time I tried speaking to him, it was about ideological beliefs. So this was my first experience with sort of betrayal, abandonment. My biggest role model is no longer around for me at such a young age. So this was trial number 1. That was trial number 1. And then from this point onwards, I'm 12 years old. I'm into high school now. And here we go, standard BC story. You get to this age, there's a lot of changes happening in your life. You go through puberty, there's a lot of resources around you, available to you. And just for me personally, this concept again, that God is in sorrow, he's sad, was the only thing I needed to remind myself of the life that I wanted to live. So when temptations came, when situations arose in which I could have chose a different path, this concept came back to me. And I said to myself, no, I'm going to pursue the life that makes God happy. So, yeah, that's what got me through a lot of the temptations that we face as BCs in our movement, in our lives at that age. And it was that, but also just the love of my parents. You know, I love them to bits, and I didn't want to do anything in any way to make them sad and make them unhappy. So that covers the span of my teenage years. And then we get to major event number 2. Now, yeah, I have 2 older siblings, but initially I had an older sister. Now, many of you probably know of her. Her name was Hannah, and she was my beloved older sister. And when I was 18 years old, she passed away. And this was, yeah, the worst point of my life. I hope it may be the case that some people in this room have experienced bereavement. But yeah, it was tough. And especially at 18, I was still figuring out a lot of things about the world. I wasn't so strong as an individual at that time. It was very challenging. It was very, very challenging. And the hardships didn't just arise from the event itself. You know, after it happened, it was in a time where COVID was going on, so I couldn't physically see many people. And when I did, yeah, I felt like things were pushed under the rug. And it felt like my closest friends, some people who I really believed were my closest people, didn't bring it up. We didn't speak about it. We didn't, you know, communicate on how I was doing. And I felt pretty betrayed. I felt quite painful from that. But then, there's a silver lining to all this, guys. I'm getting to that point. Just bear with me, please. So then we keep moving on. We keep moving on from major event number 2. And that brings me to pretty much where we are now. Present day. The man you see before you right now. And what I can say about him is that he is here. He's still around. And he didn't give up, and he didn't let any of these things overcome him. And it is purely because he chose to see these things, these events in his life, not as the end, not as things to get him down, but really as trials sent, honestly, how I feel, by God to make me a stronger and more developed person. Now, to go back to the story of, my sister passing away, I came to terms with it, and I learned to forgive and let go of resentment that I held in my heart towards people at that time. It was hard. It was one of the hardest things I've done in my personal life, to be able to say, hey, you did something that made me unhappy, but I forgive you. Because I don't want to hold on to resentment. That's not something that I think will make God happy, and it's not something that I think I will be happy about. So that's what I did. I let go of that resentment, and yeah, I'm all the better for it now. And again, I just want to express that I think by choosing to look at these things as opportunities to grow and not opportunities to grovel and become bitter or resentful, we become much more developed and mature people. Now, we've all heard of the 3 great blessings, right? I think all of us right now, for the most part, are trying to succeed in our first great blessing, right? And only by choosing to grow and choosing to develop ourselves are we really contributing towards that. So, yeah, trials will happen. You know, our lives are unpredictable. We don't know what trajectory our lives are going to go in. And for the most part, trials, they can be completely outside of our control. Now, these events that happened to me were outside of my control. Did I have any, did I want them to happen? No, I didn't want them at all to happen. But they still happened nonetheless. And did I, in that situation, we as people have the chance to play victimhood, or we have the chance to be warriors and say, hey, I'm going to grow from this, because I think truly, that's the point of it. That's the point of it all. And that's what God needs me to do at the end of the day. Hey, what we're doing here as BCs, trying to build Chongoguk, trying to live for the world, is not an easy gig. And, what can make us more capable in doing that is by being strong and tough people who can look at challenges, who can experience them and say, I'm going to grow from this. I'm going to grow, because that's what I need to do for God. So, yeah, guys, that was my biggest takeaway from my 22 years of existence as of yet. And yeah, really, I'm so grateful to be able to have realized that now. I really do feel very confident in my ability to navigate these situations now. And, yeah, the road ahead of me is long. And, the blessing is, that's my next step. That's a step that I'm not in yet, but I know what that's going to look like. And again, it's going to be filled with it's not going to be a straight, direct path. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. But what's important to remember is that that's not a bad thing, and that's not inherently bad. These are just opportunities to grow. And everything that we face is that, an opportunity to grow. And if my life isn't a good enough example of this message that challenges are opportunities to grow, I want to bring the spotlight to 3 people, the most important 3 people in my life, and that's true Father, that is true Mother, and that is Jesus. Now, we're not ignorant to just how difficult Jesus' life was, right? Like, he probably suffered, arguably, okay, I don't want to put this on a tier list or anything, but yeah, Jesus had a hard life. He had a life filled with challenges. But hey, if he didn't overcome those and he didn't try his best and he didn't grow from every one of those, we wouldn't be here in this room today. Similarly, Father, at any point, Father could have just packed it in. It could have been a roadblock, a betrayal, an incident, an imprisonment, a hardship in Hungnam, so many things where he could have just said, yeah, okay, this is enough. This is the straw on the camel that breaks my back, But we know what happened. We know the man he was, and we know that, yeah, he didn't let it overcome him, and he saw it as an opportunity to grow. And again, that's exactly what happened. Same with Mother. And to this day, it's still going on. But she's actively choosing to grow. And it's only because of that choice to actively grow and to actively develop that we get the blessing of being here in this room and part of their legacy and part of their lineage. So, yeah. Now, I'm going a bit off script. This isn't related to what I wrote down, but just speaking from the heart, yeah, I really want to emphasize this point, guys. I really care about everybody in this room, and I think what we're doing here as blessed children is incredibly commendable, incredibly fantastic. And I just want to say that, yeah, let's treat challenges as opportunities to grow and become better people for ourselves, for our friends, for our relationships, and for the rest of the world. So yeah, that's what I wanted to speak about, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.